Okay, today we have another in our series of Fireside chats with firms that have supported Insurtech UK, and delighted today to have somebody from Aviva. Aviva, one of the giants of the UK insurance industry, joined as an associate member pretty early on, and Will Wood, who's representing Aviva today, has been a particular champion of our new community. So we're really happy to have him today. So really, Will, I wonder whether you could just give us a little bit of background on you, your involvement at Aviva, but also why you and Aviva are particularly interested in supporting Insurtech UK.
Sure. So great to be here first, Niall. Great to be supporting Insurtech UK. I've been with Aviva for around about 14 years now, which in Aviva terms is probably about average. I've spent a lot of time across a lot of different products and disciplines, so not been specialising in an area, but it's given me quite a broad view of Aviva. And over the last couple of years, my remit is in a smaller part of the business, specifically focusing on small and medium-sized businesses, and it's looking at strategy, insight and propositions. Personally, I've always had quite a bit of a technology bend, right from the days back in a claims department and building a claims academy for the team 12 years ago or so, right up to the present day where I'm doing a lot of work at the moment in platforms, ecosystems. What can we do to create efficiency and cleanliness, if you like, for our consumers in the insurance market? But to do that, we can't do it by ourselves. So seeing the emergence of different insurtechs across a whole spectrum of the value chain allows Aviva to use its own skills to partner with the right insurtechs and make sure that we can build the right propositions for customers. Why did we join Insurtech UK? Actually, as part of my regular feeds that come into me, I spotted Insurtech UK in an article. So it was a less of a pull from you and more of an instinct reaction. So when I saw it and had a read about what Insurtech UK was trying to do, it felt like a natural opportunity to reach out, find out a bit more about what it was about, and then get involved.
Thank you. I mean, are there some things, particularly in Aviva at the moment, that would interest our members, specific things that you're doing that would particularly resonate with some of our members?
Yeah, so if I think about what I'm doing in the SME market at the moment, we are working very hard with a new platform provider, which will allow us to work a lot quicker with insurtechs. And that could range from those that I bucket in the distribution partner insurtech space, or for those that can offer propositional enhancements as well. And then those that have got adjacent services to small businesses. So if I use an example on that third point, we certainly aren't going to look at building SME lending into the Aviva ecosystem. What I'm interested in are who are those partners that have got the right capability and tech to be able to bring that into Aviva's ecosystem. But in the insurtech space specifically, we're absolutely working, I've got a list as long as my arm at the moment of those that look at data and AI through to being able to enhance our operational efficiency, to some of the payment gateway plugins. And then also those providers that can give us distribution channels that we wouldn't usually operate in. So a whole spectrum, and that's just in my field. If I then look a bit broader, I bucket customers up, if you like, into three with Aviva. One is your personal lines focus. So as you're well aware of, Niall, there's a lot of work going on in the motor space at the moment. And there is prevention services that are being looked at through Aviva. So, yeah, if you then think about NEOS as well, so looking at home insurance and how we're trying to help make sure that the home's protective and another preventative measure. And people are aware of Aviva's Aviva Drive app and My Aviva as a platform which brings together life and general insurance in one. So that's kind of your personal lines field. In the SME, which is where I think there's a bigger opportunity because it's been a really underserved market for a long time now. The industrial Internet of Things is coming, so helping different restaurants, if you like, being able to monitor their fryers so they're not getting too hot and giving instant notifications. So there's a lot in the preventative space in SME that's coming through. But I don't think anyone's really cracked that platform and ecosystem space yet either. There's a company that we've been working with a bit called Brisk. James will be happy I've mentioned them, who are really trying to help small businesses looking at their risk management, whether it be from a cyber, a financial or a people perspective. And then the third layer is then at a corporate level. So those bigger companies where actually technology can start to help the HRDs or the FDs or the MDs or the CEOs with data that they've not usually been able to collate together and use as a better management information source to then make decisions about how's mental health doing within the business, or actually are our staff on track to be able to retire at the right age, and what does that look like for our succession planning, right through to actually if we're choosing a new premises in the UK, have we thought about the right sort of risks that are wrapped around it? And companies can then come in and help with that and make sure that if they do take on that risk as a premises, that they understand the insurance implications to it as well. So the three kind of key buckets that I look at within Aviva. So in terms of the Insurtech membership, in those sorts of spaces, I've got a good field of vision of what Aviva's doing and where there might be opportunities as well.
Brilliant. I mean, Aviva, I think probably for a lot of our members, could appear to be quite an intimidating size of business and complexity, and I think it's really great, bearing in mind, Aviva was one of the most public in terms of the Hoxton garage and all of the work there. It's great that you've added your endorsement to Insurtech UK, and I think for all our members to be able to use Will, if they can use you as a sort of gatekeeper almost to find the right place within there. But it's certainly really great to know that you're very embracing and welcoming the input from a lot of these Insurtech UK members.
Yeah.
So in terms of sort of where you think this will go, the development of technology supporting the business, you think it's going to just continue to grow and grow and grow, the importance of technology supporting insurance businesses?
Yeah, so just on your last point, so if members do want to contact me, I'm always available on LinkedIn. Just drop me a quick message, tell me why, and I'm quite open to conversations. So on insurance, so I've spent quite a lot of time over the last few years, a plethora of different conferences and events looking at Insurtech, both in Europe and the UK. What it's starting to feel like at the moment is there are still seepings of new Insurtech businesses coming through, but they feel like they're the same as the businesses that started up 2 or 3 years ago. So I think there's a bit of stagnation in some of the Insurtech that's coming through. However, I also think that incumbents have still got work to do to be able to get into the right state, to be able to harness the capability correctly. It's almost like, and it's a usual in the entrepreneur sort of space, timing's really key. And I look at some parts of the Insurtech space and think, do you know what, you're onto something, but you're just too far ahead of the curve at the moment.
Interesting.
Whereas others are probably just starting to hit the curve now. One of my bugbears at the moment, if I start to segment the different types of Insurtech companies, is around data. I think there's quite a lot of data companies that are trying to help in the insurance space at the moment, but they don't necessarily have the new data that's going to add the value. What they've got is a way to be able to curate data in a new way, But if you come to the likes of Aviva or Allianz or AXA, I expect the response back is going to be, that's great that you've got this, but we've already got everything that we need. We just have to get ourselves into the shape to be able to harness it in the right way. The insurance or the Insurtech kits that I do like, if I think of the motorline space, I saw some great examples of being able to really and quickly, at a claim stage for a consumer, let them know that their Audi A4 and the bang on the side is going to cost them 300 quid and they'll pay them instantly because they've got the data to be able to do that now. I think that's really neat, and I think in the UK we're still catching up with that a little bit. Similarly, there's a company in Germany that had got a claims forecaster. So similar to the transparency that you do with risk, I really like the notion of being able to really put everything into the customer's hands and say, do you know what, if you make a claim at this point, this is what your likely premiums are going to look like. So net, looking at what you can pay in premiums if you make this claim, you can make a decision on whether actually it's financially something you want to do or not. And to us, that's a bit wrong way around because we don't want to be uncovering that sort of information, but to a customer, it allows them to make a much more informed decision. So I think transparency with Insurtech and being able to bring that into a front end is quite a neat thing to look to in the future as well.
That's very helpful. And I mean, in terms of, advice for some of our members in terms of new business models that you think might start emerging, either within the Insurtechs or within the incumbents, do you think once we get past this period of stagnation, things are going to get faster again? Yeah,
so I think when companies, so if you look at the banking space, that's the one that I always go to, and you think of what Starling and Monzo have done to be able to create the right base with the right technology, to now attract partners in to create new propositions and market revenue for themselves as well. I think we'll get to a point where those new platforms are in place, and that may take a bit of time, but once it's there, I think the Insurtech community then has the opportunity to come and do plug and play a lot quicker. I'm a big believer in, I think we'll get to a point of insurance as a service. So I think we will see companies opening up their APIs on an open platform because it takes down the onboarding costs from a partner perspective quite significantly for incumbents. Yes, I think it'll get there. I still personally think that we're 2-3 years off before that being cracked, and the Insurtech industry starting to get less frustrated with the incumbents as they are currently. Well, interesting, in the survey we've just done of our members, frustration with incumbents was actually much lower than I expected. It seems that people have much better working relationships with insurance. So in terms of again back to our members, you'd welcome any of them to sort of to come and see you. I mean, I don't know what's the best forum for trying to get your message across to our members. It may be open house sessions. It may be just one-to-ones. How would you encourage our members to really think of Aviva as one of the first points of contact for them? So I kind of split this up into three things because working with different partners, I feel the frustrations of them trying to work through the organisation and get to the right people. So I think that there's right engagement, be smart and be ready. So right engagement for me is about making sure that you've identified what parts of a business, whether it be Aviva or any of the other incumbents, you think your product is going to impact. So you may have an impact on operations, distribution, finance. It could be in the MI areas. Data and security is probably a given nowadays. And what happens is Insurtechs come in and they go, who's the person who looks like they've got a digital or a proposition title in their name, and it sounds a bit like what I'm doing. and they go to that person. That's not a bad thing to do, but I would also be using tools that you've got like LinkedIn and relationships in the industry to go, do you know what, if we need to make this fly, I know that the stringent rules around data and security mean that I should go and try and pick off the head of data or head of security and have a conversation with them about how that works in my business, because that's where I see a lot of partners start to fall over. They get so far down the line and then all of a sudden they've not got the world-class features, if you like, that need to be in place. And I give a quick example of that. We had a partner that we'd been working with, and they were okay with the fact that customers could get in with a simple username and password. But because of the data that's sitting behind the platform, they quickly found that they needed to have multi-factor authentication in place. Now, that was a big deal for them. They've got to bring a new partner in, they've got to redesign what they've put in place previously. But knowing that up front means that you're already on the right foot. The other bit around, so get the right engagement, be smart. So I think a traditional way of working is you expect an Insurtech to come in and almost give an incumbent £30,000 to £50,000 worth of a proof of concept that they've got to foot the bill for. You want to be thinking about what are those quick and easy things that you could do. So what could you come to Aviva with, which instead of a presentation which tells me a bit about what your platform does, what can you do already which tailors it towards me? What's going to make me sit there and go, I can see the customer value in that, and you've already started building some of it as well. And that might be a bit of a leap for some to take, but I think that helps you to get the stakeholders that you're after on board quicker. Rather than us having to visually jump into this is what it could mean for Aviva, just come and put it in place. The other bit is kind of linked into the right engagement, be ready, which, so if you've been through some procurement processes yourself, and you can get hit with 300, 400 different questions. Being ready for those questions and making sure that they're fit for the right incumbent that you're working with, I always find is quite important. I've seen many partners where they've pretty much copy and pasted from others, and you can identify that in the procurement process. If you really want that incumbent to work with, I know that it's time consuming, and I know that some of the detail can be quite heavy, but it's worth putting the time and effort in, because from my side of the table, I'm going to be sat there as one of those people going through the 400 lines of data, and I'm going to be scrutinising everything that you've put in there. And trust me, it happens. And it won't just be me, it'll be my security team, and it'll be some of the IT team and marketing, but each line will get scrutinised. And the more of those lines that get across next to it, the less likelihood you are of being a partner. So they would be my words of advice.
Advice, thank you. And so, do you think, I mean, because from my perspective, a small business trying to run very fast, dealing with big companies that are not able to always go as fast.
Yep.
Do you think Aviva's going faster now?
That's an interesting one. So I think we've got a bit more to do to get to a point where we've got the right model internally to allow partners to come in and do work with us quicker. I think a lot of incumbents have chopped and changed different innovation models, if you like, internally. Yeah. We've done the same. The garage has had a go at different models. I think the bit that helps with bigger businesses is when you get to the point where you recognise that you don't talk as IT and the business, and you're working as one, because your Insurtech members just do that naturally. And then to walk into an organisation where we talk about IT and the business separately is a little bit alien for some, but it doesn't help with that coherence of what you're trying to achieve with a partner either. So I think there's definitely work to be done to get models right to allow pilots, proof of concepts, and work with partners to go quicker and slicker. Yeah. But we are working on it. Great, because in this recent survey, the sales cycle was a particular issue for a lot of our members. It's just
really hard. It's so long
Yeah.
with some of our partners. And just quickly, from your perspective, how are we doing in the UK in terms of Insurtech? We formed this association, got a lot of sort of energy we feel within our sort of membership. How do you look at other regions around the world? How do you think we're doing in the UK in this area?
I think I saw some of the stats at a recent event in Munich, and the UK is actually ahead of the game across when you look across other parts of Europe. Mm-hmm. There's a company in Australia that I think's really interesting at the moment in the way that they can model insurance, but I think generally it feels like goes back to my point before. I think we've had this massive kind of push and we've got a lot of innovation, but the innovation's stalling, and I think my view is it's because the incumbents aren't there with their tech kit yet.
Yep.
And if we do similar to what the banks have done, where we go, are we going to go greenfield, or are we going to completely remodel our tech stack, then it opens the doors and you get the pile through. So I don't think we've got a problem in terms of Insurtech and innovation and what's available. I think the pace has just been slowed down. How that looks in other markets, I think it's similar. They've all got big incumbent players that have got the volume which everyone's after. So I expect they're in a similar space. They just haven't got to that same curve in terms of innovation, which may also present an opportunity, because if the Insurtech members can work out which regions are on that curve and whether some of the incumbents have started to advance their own tech models, there might be other opportunities in other markets that are worth going after now, whilst the UK is still catching up at this end. Okay.
Well, Will, thank you very much. I mean, I think a strong message today. Aviva's really open for business to do more with members of Insurtech UK. Delighted to have you personally involved, but also Aviva's imprimatur over the organisation. It's really fabulous to have you on board. So with that, thank you very much indeed for coming today.
Thank you, Niall.